in here.
Light my hand.
Microphones are hot.
My God, he's right.
All right, I would like to call this budget hearing in order. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, tonight we have OPED, police and fire. The order will be OPED, fire and police, I think is what I said earlier, so we'll go with that order. Before we get started, with the chance of a large amount of snow coming up for possibly Thursday, I didn't know, I just wanted to talk to the council about how do you want to handle the meeting? Do we want to postpone it until the following Monday, or do we want to Zoom it, or how do you guys want to proceed on that? Or you want to just wait and we'll make the call on Thursday?
Yeah, let's wait because, Chair, I think the heavy snow, I think will be Wednesday night. Hopefully we'll be done with it, I hope. I think it's going to
Hope
start
so.
coming down late Tuesday night into Wednesday.
Let it
So
roll,
we should be
let it
clear
roll.
by Thursday, I would think. But we can wait and see.
Mayor, any preference on that? I mean, I don't know what you know, how much far in advance we have to do. I don't know what the
It'd
rules
have to
are.
be 48 hours. We can discuss it tomorrow night. And actually, I asked Nate Bottom to give a overview of emergency declaration with regards to snow emergencies. So he's going to do that at the beginning, so maybe he'll have more information at that point.
Okay. I just wanted to bring it up. It could be a situation where we can't all get here or whatever, so. All right, so we got OPED. You guys want to come up and get in the hot seat? And when you get up to speak, if you could just introduce yourself for us, just so everybody knows who's who, I'd appreciate it.
Good evening. My name's Aaron. I'm the fiscal officer for economic development.
Could you say that again? I didn't understand you.
Am I allowed to remove my?
Yeah, take it off.
But you don't have to.
My name's Aaron Horath. I am the fiscal officer for economic development. Tonight we'll be presenting the budget as well as some accomplishments. Quick overview of the department. The Office of Planning and Economic Development. We do have 3 factions: community development, economic development, and fiscal services. We do have 9 head count plus an additional 2 for the upcoming fiscal year. We do have a pie chart here that outlines the various funds. Funds 50, 51, and 55 are all going to be HUD related. 55 would be a recent competitive grant that was won. 50 and 51 are both annual entitlements. The other sections of the pie there are TIF and corporate funds. The annotation on the right does denote that the TIF funds do include, so the budgeted amount there does include our pre-encumbered or amounts that we will encumber at the start of the next fiscal year. From there, we've estimated based on a range of ordinances that span multiple fiscal years. We've estimated what we will spend in the next fiscal year, taking that against the budget authority, and that would be essentially what might remain in budget authority if we don't have any more agreements to come through. The next table does outline all funds into the major objects, including personnel, contractual services, commodities, equipment, EDP or electronic data processing, telecommunications, interfund transfers, and then a substantial amount being awards and grants. And as we move on, we will go through accomplishment slides, beginning with Donna DeVlantis.
Good afternoon, and thank you. Well, good evening, I guess. I am Donna DeVlantis. I'm the grants coordinator for the city. This year, we did about a little over $6 million in competitive grants, and that's across the city. We're looking at approximately $25 billion available in competitive grants coming forward with the ARPA and with the Infrastructure and Jobs Act. So there's money, and we need to sprint to the finish line.
We do.
The slides there indicate some of the grants that we have this year. The ICEJA planning grant, that serves Ward 2. It's a for us, by us planning assessment grant to find out what the individuals that live in that ward really need through an economic lens. The Illinois Housing Development Authority, we have $250,000 through them. That is for the Enos Park District, and also we did a number of demolitions. The Department of Justice Connect and Protect grant, that's the newest one. You may have seen that in the news. We will embed 2 social workers in the police department working with Memorial Behavioral Health. We will be able to determine if it's a crisis situation. The officer will be able to secure the scene, and then the social worker will be able to go in and deal with the situation if it's not life-threatening or if it's just a crisis situation. I think we're trying to lower emergency department and incarceration levels. So if we can get that before we have to go through those other processes, that's the goal of that. So that's the Springfield Police Department and Memorial Behavioral Health. The DCEO Small Business Community Navigator, as you can see there, 67 businesses in Springfield so far have gotten a total of $3,430,000. 26 businesses have received direct navigation information through us that either we help them on the computer, we help them gather their documents. It's a hands-on approach that we were involved with in getting these individuals to be able to actually apply for the funding and carry out the process. Housing and Urban Development, we have a total of 5.4 million new grants. That's the lead hazard. That's not lead pipes. So we'll be able to go into approximately 150 homes and remove any lead through paint, windows, that kind of thing. Window frames, not windows. And then the Healthy Homes is actually the pest management program that we're going to open up, and that'll be coming in a little later than the lead. So that can take care of asthma, radon, bed bugs, any of those situations that cause individuals to have to leave their homes. It may be a safe house, but it may be infested with mold. So maybe we can fix that up for them. And then the last one there is the AmeriCorps program, and that's our longest running grant in OPED. We're coming in our 4th year, and I just wanted to highlight that. Oh, I didn't push the slides. Coming up on our 4th year with the AmeriCorps program, we have 19 members. Those individuals are given a stipend, and they mentor throughout the city or provide capacity building for some of our not-for-profits. Computer Bank is one. They have 3 individuals there who help them get their products out to disadvantaged families who need Chromebooks or computers. The Salvation Army, we have a couple of individuals there who work with their marketing and also who run their food bank. So that's really important. If you've never seen the Salvation Army food bank, it's unique in that they have a shopping cart. It's like going to the store and they get to make choices. Not all food banks are like that, but this one is unique, and so we have some individuals do that. And then we have Goodwill and Boys and Girls Club where we mentor youth. That's predominantly our purpose there. So as I said, we have about 25 billion at least coming through, and depending on how we partner and collaborate, it could, we could get a lot of that money in, either just through the city or for the region. So we're looking forward to getting all of that. Broadband was just released, so we're working on the third round of the broadband grant through DCO with Tom Chi. We are on a collaboration with the state to get us ready for that. So that's another grant. That doesn't give money, but it gives the support, technical support. So as I said, we need to sprint and not run, and we're going to get all the money we can. Are there any questions?
Good job.
Thanks. Sean? Alderman Gregory?
He'll get grumpy on me if I do that.
Oh, never.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. I just I wanted to comment on a few things. I definitely agree with you. We need to sprint because there is a lot of money out there. I was curious on our the R3 grants. Have we decided if we're gonna push through for the second round of funding?
We're going to push through on the service delivery, so we'll be in touch with you soon.
All right, thank you.
Our staff is working on that one now.
Okay, great. And I'm happy to hear that we did get some of our cannabis homeowner rehabilitation, as we see that there is a great need, in our community for homeowner improvements. And I know you guys have been exhausting all options and things. I just want to, reiterate that is a priority of not only mine, but I'm sure everybody up here on the council for affordable housing and things of that nature. So I look forward to working with you guys on that. And I think that is all of my questions for today. So keep up the good work.
Alderwoman
Thank you.
Purchase.
Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to follow up on the area of housing and urban development. Do you have some numbers of how many people have participated in that so far?
We're still in the planning stage for the lead grant. That one gets to come out in about 3 months, 3 to 4 months probably. And then the next one will come out later in the summer. But we can do up to 150 homes.
Well, Ms. Donna, when that time comes around, I want to make sure that I'm doing my part by sharing it with the community as well. I think
Definitely.
this is really important.
We have a strong marketing program coming out for that because we want to get to the neighborhood association, we want to get to the churches, we want to get to where the people are so that we make sure that we get the low to mod income, and particularly those with small children in the homes because of the lead and what it can do for children under 5.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll have a strong marketing program coming out on those 2 grants.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron?
Oh, thanks. Just real quick, you mentioned, well, you didn't, I'm sorry, you're very well-named fiscal officer. Fund 55, I don't see that on the budget breakdown. You said it was a new large grant, or was that just?
Correct. Fund 55 would be in the budget request. It would be $3.4 million grant award that spans 42 months. So I simply did a 12-month span of that for the next fiscal year.
And what is that, which one is that?
The question again, please.
What grant is that? What funds are those for?
That'd be the lead and healthy homes. I know they mentioned healthy homes already. There's lead and healthy homes. They supplemented a lead grant award, and then we also won healthy homes production, which is a $2 million
Per
grant
year
award.
For a couple of years? And then just real quickly, what are the parameters for applicants for those programs?
I don't know necessarily the specific parameters. Krista Colas may be able to speak to that
Okay, thank you.
and elaborate.
Do we want to go ahead and let them finish before we ask any more
Sure,
questions,
that's
please?
fine. Yeah, I'm fine.
Let's,
Yeah.
go ahead. Why don't you finish that, and then we'll finish their presentation, and we'll get questions.
I should be done after that.
Hi. So for the lead in healthy homes, the prioritization is for children under the age of 6 who have lead poisoning. However, you do also have to be very low to moderate income. The program is extended for any resident in the city of Springfield. It prioritizes the very low income census tracts and also opportunity zones. The lead in healthy homes production, the healthy homes production, the $2 million grant is again for the entire city of Springfield emphasizing, prioritizing very low to moderate income census tracts and opportunity zones. That program, Healthy Homes Production, is prioritizing the very low and moderate income, and any residents can apply for these grants.
Wonderful. I just want to make sure we all get information about that when those come available.
Yep.
I think everyone has low-income tracts. Thank you.
All right, you guys want to finish your slides, and then we'll open it up to other questions.
Thank you. So Ravi Doshi, Economic Development Officer and TIF Administrator for the City of Springfield. This next slide here is precisely showing why OPED is the catalytic engine of the city. The economic development portion, we approximately were able to award $76,000 granted to 8 downtown businesses to construct parklets. We were able to successfully extend the Enos Park TIF to 2032 and expand the SHA Madison Park TIF by 897 parcels. The new projects that we had include the first ever rooftop bar in downtown Springfield with Floyd's and the Legacy Sports Complex, which is coming. Over the last 2 years, contrary to what most might think, we were able to grow economically. We were able to successfully open 76 businesses compared to only 29 businesses being closed. On the cannabis homeowner rehabilitation side, we received 112 total cannabis homeowner applications and assisted 3 homeowners because of limited funding for that program. As more cannabis sales are garnered, we will be able to assist more individuals. Out of that, we were able to go back through that list of 112 and find out what other programs they would be able to be fitted for. And we found that 32 owners were able to be pre-qualified and referred to our city HUD programs, and 18 were interested in our TIF exterior rehab program. On the community development side, we were awarded the HUD lead hazard control and healthy homes for $3.4 million, and that will span from November 15th, 2021 to May 15th, 2025. We were also awarded the Healthy Home Production Grant for $2 million, and we currently have 3 IDA housing projects as illustrated there. OPED has also been able to successfully partner both interdepartmentally as well as with other agencies. We have been attending administrative court to better intercept those opportunities to assist individuals prior to projects being demolished or having succeeding or exceeding costs. We've also successfully partnered with Justine Peterson, the microloan program that has awarded 24 businesses totaling $329,839 and 9 consumer loans as well. There are also currently 8 business loans which will be closed in the next 2 weeks, totaling $229,800. We are also able to partner with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity through the state with their Back to Business program, and we actually invited 26 businesses personally to provide technical assistance to those individuals to assist them with applications. That roughly garners 30% of all the total applications that the city of Springfield was able to be submitted for. We also were able to work with our GIS administrator and ISD to build out online businesses and resident applications. We want to make those far easier to use and have those documents neatly submitted. And we were able to have that call tracking log for OPED along with earlier this year, we demonstrated the incentive area lookup map, which has been proven to be a great success as a one-stop shop for our department. On the next slide, you'll see our Enterprise Zone program, which very important to note here is that we were able to successfully rebound from the pandemic to award more money on the Enterprise Zone from 2019 through 2021. You can see that growth. We've almost gotten back to our 2019 numbers, and the numbers there are illustrated there as well. And that provides a sales tax exemption, the building materials exemption certificate. And then finally, what I feel is the most important slide is our goals for the upcoming year. We wish to update and automate the documents and program operations even more so, perhaps even making them available in multiple languages as well, and to provide that technical assistance to other individuals who may not be as tech savvy. We also want to eliminate impediments to existing and new programs. We're in the midst of refreshing some of our existing programs, namely the TIF Exterior Rehab program, to find perhaps a reduction in the match requirement, which we found to be an unfortunate impediment for our low to moderate individuals. We also wish to expand our contractor list for OPED programs, and that includes diversification and involving minorities as well. We wish to initiate those new programs that we aforementioned, the HUD Lead and Healthy Homes, the Healthy Homes Production Grant Programs, the Cannabis Business Program, which I'm glad to say we just kickstarted this past week. So we've gotten numerous applications already submitted. We are proposing the new Senior Core Program with ARP National Funds, potentially adding the Peoria Road TIF into our TIF Exterior Rehab Program, because that has about 130 owner-occupied residents that would be sufficiently assisted in their needs as well. And we wish to seek funding opportunities via grants through infrastructure, sewer, broadband, housing and workforce development, and small business development. So in short, let's go, OPED. Thank you. We'll now entertain any questions.
All right.
Yes, the energy.
I like that.
That's
Good
energy.
job, bro.
That's the way to start it off, Robbie. Let's see, Alderman Williams.
Yeah. So who can address the cannabis program? It can answer this. Do we know how much money has been spent so far?
In the cannabis homeowner?
Yes.
Yes, we do. And I have
I
those.
noticed it says 3 residents, but
Yes.
I didn't know that amount.
Right. We currently remaining in the cannabis allotment, if the alder persons recall, 22% of the 50% of the total cannabis funds is for the homeowner portion. So 50% is automatically towards the pension out of the global amount. The remaining 50% is broken up into 22% on the homeowner side and 78% on the business side. So the rough totals, the allotment per the ordinance appropriation was $99,000 in the homeowner. We currently have remaining funds of $46,013 on the cannabis homeowner side. So we are looking to award additional individuals, so we are going to be going back through that initial 112 application list to see who we can prioritize and award further.
So the wards that have happened already have all been in Ward 2.
That's yes.
I'm requesting that the last 46,000 go to Ward 3. I don't know where the, who comes first or who applied first rule came from. I couldn't find
Right.
it. But I'll say this, I'm glad the work is getting done. It definitely was needed where you did it. Good job. I mean, it was
Absolutely.
needed. But Ward 3 has needs too.
We'll certainly make that a
I
priority.
want to make sure that we don't forget that in that department.
Absolutely.
Because right now, everything's been spent in Ward 2, to include the Taylor House piece that we threw in there. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up to you and say that if you read that ordinance, it has 2 wards in there, not 1. And I'm requesting respectfully that we do use the rest of this money in Ward 3.
We'll make it a priority, certainly, sir.
Thank you.
We also, just to point out, that we did have roughly 2 times as many applicants in Ward 2 as we did with Ward 3.
Yeah, it's a
We
greater
will-
need. I mean, I'm a fair
will certainly
guy.
wear that.
I
Absolutely.
understand that. I'm just saying, because if I don't, I'll look up and this alderman here, it'll all be gone, you know? So I have
Yes,
to
sir.
speak up for my ward and say,
Appreciate
you know,
it. Definitely.
I appreciate you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Real quick, a follow-up on that. How much do we allow per homeowner to receive on this? Is it unlimited?
$25,000.
25,000? Okay. All right, any other questions?
Yeah.
Alderman Donlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. I noticed that there's in the proposed budget 2 extra positions. Can someone explain to me what those are for and why they're needed?
Yeah, in the proposed budget, there are two positions in the proposed budget, one of which is another community program specialist title. And the other is potentially an inspector that would be funded by an awarded competitive grant.
So one would be funded by a grant potentially, and the other one would be funded by the corporate fund?
Correct. We would have a community program specialist that is budgeted to the personal or the corporate fund, and then, do you want to speak more to it?
The other position is for a grant writer. We're hoping to pump up my one space a little bit more with all the funding coming through. That position we felt we needed that after, I've been here almost 2 years, and I think we're at the point now where we can grow that. So that's what that request is for.
Thank you for that clarification.
And I will say that originally I wasn't real keen on a grant writer, but you've definitely proven your worth, so
Thank you.
way to go. It's, that's.
You know, it takes a
very good.
team, and we've got some of the best in terms of our information, so we appreciate all your ideas coming to us, because we can't do it alone, so, yeah, I
Thanks for
would
the
like to.
energy and the enthusiasm. We appreciate it.
Alderman Redpath.
So are you specializing on where those grants are going to be written for, or is it just general grants, or how?
Well, no, one of the first things we do is we try to match the priorities. So when you guys tell us what you would like, I mean, we'll find the match to that. Right now, it's everywhere, so we will need to use your expertise on where we guide that to. Because we could write grants all day long, but if we don't know, we want to be on sewer and roads and that kind of thing. So we'll break it down after you guys make your decisions.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Alderwoman DeSenso.
Thank you. So there are no plans at this point to hire a new director for OPED? And you all report directly to the mayor?
Correct.
Mayor, I'll let you.
Yeah, there's a offer out there, but the individual need more time, so we'll see if they accept.
Good job.
Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you. Donna, I just need to clarify. So I know with grant writing, it's not just, the writing isn't the whole job. There's also reporting and all of that goes on with it. Is that controlled by you, or do the individual departments do their own reporting that's required?
Some departments have their own grant writers, but they're starting to lean on our department for the technical pieces, because it's always somebody that has a whole nother job within that department
Right.
that's been traditionally the grant writer. So we're seeing through the process of the past year, you know, that they're leaning more toward us to get through the technical pieces of it, and we would align with what they need, and they usually tell us what they need, and then we write the grant with their expertise, but our people.
Well, I will tell you, that's a big job, and I appreciate that you've done it. You've certainly, I mean, we've seen the increase in grant funds that come into the city, and I appreciate that. So I'm certainly in favor of adding another person to help you with those functions. And when we talk about things that council members bring to you, this year, I'd like to see if we can't get the IDOT grant that I'd emailed you about, it was the last minute.
Safe roads to schools?
Yes.
Yeah, that's on the radar. So I keep a tickler so that I know what requests come through. And, you know, we get 30 to 40 days about, usually 30, to do the whole grant, from the announcement to the due date. So
submission,
I
yes,
keep
I
a
know.
tickler so that as I watch those come up, if they're still, you know, I'll gauge to see if they're still interested, and then we'll move from there.
Wonderful. I would still be interested in that. I'd like to see.
Certainly.
those speed
And we
signs.
talked about it when it was up, so we have some ideas as well.
Good.
How we
Wonderful.
could partner with some of the schools and
Wonderful.
school
Well, thank
districts.
you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question regarding your budget here on, it's on your page 3, under 1218, professional and artistic not classified. It's set, you spent 173 last year. You're up to you've asked for 495. And there's a list of what they're for. It's probably cut off on your sheet too, but on mine, it stops at Sangamon CEO. And I just was wondering if I could get the complete list there.
Yeah, you can. I do have that as well cut off, but I have a spreadsheet that includes that.
And if you want to just get it to me, you can email me or just get it to Tim Griffin, and he can send it out. And I don't want you-
Absolutely.
All right. And Bill, did you need to?
Yeah, I just want to clarify for Alderwoman Connolly that programmatic reporting happens out in the field with the departments typically, but the financial reporting comes through OBM in our accounting department. So there is a bit of a separation there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, next will be fire, and we'll take, let's take a 3-minute break and get switched over. 3 minutes.
Don't you? Hey, if you guys gonna start boxing.
I'll do my best. Thank you.
Daddy.
Waiting on Roy and John. Well, we flipped a coin, we were gonna flip a coin, but then we decided to go based on seniority as being chief and Chief Scarlett, you lost this battle, so we're gonna go with fire and you guys have to wait, so, you know. By the way, congratulations. All right, we're still waiting on John and Roy. Let's go ahead and get started. Next we have fire. Chief Blau, you're in the hot seat.
All right. Never been there before.
On that seat.
So, thanks for having me tonight. Appreciate your time. I will try and get through this as quickly as possible. That being said, try and save your applause till the end. So, 2023 budget for fire. First slide. Same structure as the last 8 to 10 years. We've discussed changes organizationally, and there's since there's contract negotiations ongoing, that's something that we would probably have to wait until those are over with to take care of. Operations currently has 185 sworn members. Fire safety has 6 inspectors/investigators, and training has 2 training BCs. There's 6 staff chiefs, 4 administrative and fiscal personnel. We've been budgeted for 215 sworn slots the last decade or so. This year we have 217 firefighter slots. We are currently at 201 sworn firefighters as of today. Lack of pay differential continues to cause problem attracting senior leadership to apply for some of our staff positions. That's the same problem that I know SPD and some of the other departments have. This just illustrates what I think everybody up here knows, which is fire department runs heavy on personnel services, and only about 6% of our budget is actually dedicated towards fire trucks and keeping things rolling, and fire stations, which is going to change coming up here. Budget by cost center. With contract negotiations going to arbitration, our salaries have stayed the same. However, we have started the hiring process. I talked to the mayor today, actually, and we're going to expand that hiring class. We hope to have new recruits starting at the academy by June and on shift by December. There's a possibility that some of them already have some advanced medical training, so they may be actually on shift and helping us with the overtime numbers by October.
Did you plan that?
Yeah.
I did.
Timing.
Pretty good.
Good answer.
Yeah. Personnel services increase is partly due to the increase in pension contribution level that we hear about every year, partially due to the increase in insurance costs, and partially due to the starting point of last year's regular salary levels prior to the removal of $400,000 for THL. Last year, I planned on implementing an EMS coordinator position as well, paying for it with the attrition of 2 civilian positions, but felt due to our issues in the 1100 lines that those challenges were something that we would try and put off until this year. The increase in the contractual services reflects funds for us to pay for us to look for somebody to help us with that this year. Equipment increases include a couple of new fleet vehicles for our investigators and inspectors. We are in serious need of some SCBAs. We have applied for an AFG grant for that. Unfortunately, the last few years we've been unsuccessful in being able to do that. I think that getting some help from Donna and some other people that hopefully maybe we'll be more successful with that this year. That equipment line has increased a little bit this year because we use that to purchase the new tools that are going to go on the 2 pieces of apparatus that we're going to get this year. Travel increases are due to the need to send some fire safety people off for some required classes to complete their inspector and their investigator training. Last couple of years due to COVID, we haven't been able to send anybody, so we're kind of backlogged there. We're also expecting some turnover there, so we're gonna have new people in there, gonna have to make sure that they're caught up on everything that they need to know to start their new journey over in Division 2. Workforce. Our civilian personnel was reduced by the 2 positions that I referred to a couple of minutes ago for the EMS coordinator spot, and we intend to put that in place this year. We're currently at 201 sworn firefighters, and this chart shows that OBM has given us a budgeted level of 217. Our projections show that we're going to lose at least 25 firefighters in the next 2 years. So already being down 15 people or so, hiring 40 people in the next 2 calendar years will help us control those overtime costs. And provided there are no changes to the minimum manning clause in the contract, failing to hire at those levels will perpetuate the cycle of the high overtime costs and prolong the high levels of fatigue for our workforce, which can cause a higher level of work-related injury numbers and costs there. Chief Elmerks was always successful in keeping his overtime numbers down due to his success in hiring a new class nearly every year. Consistent hiring leads to the consistent manageability of overtime numbers. Coverage protection area, none of this has changed. Just for reference, we cover a little over 124 square miles. A lot of times we're compared to Peoria. Peoria has similar demographics to ours. They have a similar population to us, but they only cover 50 square miles with the same number of stations. So we cover a lot of area. Just for a point of reference, the 9 fire protection districts that we cover in addition to the fairgrounds and UIS are East Side, Lake Springfield, South Lawn, South Oak Knolls, South Side, West Side, North Side, Western, and Curran. And a lot of those districts, we are going to have negotiations coming up in the next few months as far as renewing those contracts. All right, on to our statistics from this year. We had 258 structure fires, which is a 1% increase versus the previous year. 560 total fire calls. That's a 5% decrease. Automatic alarms were up 10% to just under 2,500 of those. 12,580 rescue and EMS calls. They were up 12%, which is quite a bit. 475 hazmat and hazardous condition responses, which is an increase of almost 15%. And our total calls for last year was 21,735. We had never had over 20,000 before last year. As you can see, that's a 1-year increase of 9%, 5-year of 23%, and a 10-year increase of 32%. Structure fires overall have remained flat for the last 25 or more years. That's just kind of where we land. That's how many fires we have. Total fires are down from last year, and a lot of that had to do with 2020 had a lot of, we had a little bit of a drought, dry conditions, which we had a blown up number of grass fires and trash fires do that. Hazardous material calls were way up. Our special teams people were seeing more calls overall. The still unofficial drone team, which sounds really cool, and it is, has come to several large-scale scenes and helped us out and assisted us in getting a better vantage point while costing us nothing. Our Foreign Fire Insurance Board has funded to purchase those, and then our people a lot of times have done the training on their own so that they can get certified to become our drone pilots. So this is a tool that I think going forward kind of mirrors what has been talked about as far as modernization of the fire department. This is something that I think will really help us, especially on large-scale events and when we have lost kids or silver alerts and that kind of stuff. I think it's something that will prove to be something that's very beneficial to the city. We had 2 fire deaths during this last year, and our total calls for service once again went up 32% since 2011, has doubled in the last 15 years or so. Historical structure fires, this just shows that we had 258, which is a little higher than average. Our total fire loss for last year was $7.9 million, which is up from $7.4 million the year before. Our historical total fires was down a hair, but that's once again because the drought conditions kind of elevated that number from the prior year. Historical EMS call data. We ran 12,580 rescue and EMS calls in 2021, which is a 9% increase in calls overall. There they go again. And an increase of about 1,500 medical calls overall. With private ambulance companies struggle to find enough EMTs and paramedics, our SFD crews' total time on scene has been on the rise. Our crews are sometimes spending 40-plus minutes on scenes because there are no ambulances available to transport these patients to the hospitals. These elongated times will have a serious impact on our cardiac, stroke, and serious trauma calls. It makes our crews unavailable for other emergencies in their district. What we're hoping for is that there's a greater availability soon of local candidates for EMTs and paramedics in the coming months, which will bring these on-scene times back down to more manageable levels. But national and local trends do not indicate that the cavalry is coming on this yet. It's just a serious situation. Obviously, every industry is having a hard time finding quality people and getting them to stick around. And that's no different than the ambulance companies in town. Our workload and service levels for Division II Fire Safety, our building inspections, it just lists all of the things that they do, and I'll just talk about the numbers. The inspections were up over 10%. This is the most inspections that we've had since 2015. Our code violations that were found and cited were up over 30%. I know that makes your phone ring sometimes, but it also makes sure that our people are trying to go through these buildings and keep everybody there safe. Fire investigations were up 20%. This number does change from time to time. It ebbs and flows depending on the number of fires that we have. And a lot of times it has to do with what the tenure of our battalion chiefs that are out there on the cars are. We do our best for our battalion chiefs to be able to discern what the cause and origin is on their own on these fires. When we think that it's something suspicious or we need something for our experts to come in and fire safety and look at that, then that's when we call them in. During the pandemic, one of the other things that fire safety does is a lot of our public interactions. And during the pandemic, a lot of these interactions were limited or modified in order to safeguard the public and our own people. But we still also wanted to make sure that we were getting the word out. What we used to call public education is actually transferred over into and evolved into more of a community risk reduction. Over the past few years and public events and all of our firefighter interactions during this pandemic shifted the focus to assisting with emergency planning. While the interactions with the general public out of necessity had to be limited, our impact on keeping people safe moving forward should have been substantial. Workload for our fire training people. Chief Moore, Heather Moore, that most of you had an opportunity to meet over the last few years, retired and has moved on to the University of Illinois campus, and she's doing work for them over there. Chief Calvert has continued to move the training division forward. Our special teams training went up considerably as the training time was limited during 2020 because of we couldn't get them in the same room at the same time due to COVID restrictions. Miscellaneous hours that you see listed there are 62,677 hours. That's the stuff that's our bread and butter. That includes our standard firefighter training, things such as pump operations, extrications, physical fitness, incident command, self-rescue, defensive driving, water rescue, all of those things. Overall training hours were up about 15%, which is the difference of about 10,000 hours of training total, or about 50 more hours per firefighter for the year. Apparatus ages. This is one of the things that we think that going forward is going to be something that we need to really we need to really put a spotlight on too. Our fleet is getting older, and unfortunately, as the fleet gets older, it gets more expensive. Only 4 out of our 12 engines are less than 10 years old. 15 years is when you're actually supposed to put those things out to pasture. So 2 of our trucks are 9 years old. 1 truck is over 20 years old, and those are frontline rigs. Those aren't our spares. We pay almost $100,000 a month to fleet maintenance to keep our rigs working. There is a sweet spot, we're aware, that, buying something new versus keeping something on as long as possible, because you want to find that sweet spot of having stuff new enough that you don't have to maintain it all the time, but keeping it long enough to get all of the worth that you can squeeze out of that piece of apparatus. We're going to work with a couple of people that are experts on this that can help us find out what that sweet spot is. We're going to look at alternatives such as, is leasing something that we need to be looking at harder? Is that something that gives us more bang for our buck and provides a better alternative, especially cost-wise for the taxpayers? We did purchase one truck and one engine out of last year's budget. Those things take forever to get here. We're hoping to have them by September, August. So it takes a long time for those. They are supposed to call us when we actually, our apparatus reach the, okay, we're starting on it tomorrow stage. So we're hoping to get one of those calls sometime in the near future. There's a systematic apparatus replacement program that I put together, and then Chief Abbott has come up with one that's probably way better than mine. But we put those together, and our goal is obviously to save the taxpayers and the city as much money as possible while keeping apparatus that is in good enough shape that we can do what we need to do with it. Our accomplishments, I said before, we surpassed 21,000 runs this year. That's our highest volume ever. At the beginning of the year, we upgraded all of our cardiac monitors / defibrillators. That's really helped improve our diagnostics and our cardiac care. We did have a number of cardiac saves. I didn't have the exact number, but it's multiple. Anytime that we're able to take somebody who wasn't breathing, had no pulse, and then they walk out of the hospital within a few days, that's a humongous win for all of us. We restarted our Adopt a School program, which is very popular, utilizing the neighborhood stations, interacting with the kids in schools. Arson arrests and convictions were at an all-time high. We had 21 of those. Tactical task force was refined, and we boosted the preparedness for active shooter or mass casualty incidents, which is something that, the last thing that we want to do is have to do that, but the best way to do it is to be prepared. And so we had a lot of training with other police agencies and tabletop scenarios that our people sat down and did with that. We put multiple new technology pieces in place to increase our efficiency and cost savings, whether it was, some software that we use so that everybody can get on their phone and see what the schedule looks like for the next day, or whether it's something as simple as we no longer have somebody who has to drive around and drop off dish soap. You can order that through one of our pieces of software, and then it'll be dropped off at the house for you. And then I already talked about the drone team, which was implemented within the hazmat team. We also had new headsets, which they look like the ones that the pilots use or the people on the ground use. And those are great because they, in the long run, will save the city costs as far as hearing loss. We've had a lot of people in recent history that have have sued the city over their hearing loss. So if our people are wearing these, that should help control that. But it also makes communication on the fire ground a lot better. It's a chaotic area, and when you have something that's directly on your ears that can muffle out everything else, that's great. We purchased new battalion cars. They are ready. They are ready to be put in place, except for some of the technology that we're putting in the back of those. They have become more of a command-style vehicle, which means that they're going to have a board and all sorts of technology so that when they're running a fire scene, you can keep track of who's inside, who's not. It puts timers on different things for you. It's something that we really think is going to help our battalion chiefs stay on task. But those were paid for by selling. Those were actually cost neutral from last year, where we got rid of 2 of the older F-550 trucks that we used to call them the sandwich trucks. But they were not very maneuverable. They weren't good for command vehicles. They could carry a bunch of air bottles, but other than that, they weren't what was best for us. And we were actually able to purchase these two new vehicles for essentially no cost. Upcoming, our major priorities, as I said before, bringing on a new recruit class that's going to give us some relief from our overtime issues. Coordinate with the mayor on the proposed new stations and trying to make sure that looks the way that everybody thinks that it should look. We're going to analyze the study and see what we can do there. We're going to reconcile some post-pandemic ideas as far as what have we learned, what can we do better if this happens again, what should we be doing better even if this doesn't happen again. Part of that we've already put in place is in the designs of some of the new stations. And then we would like to address our aging fleet issue that I talked about before. 5 years and on, the things that we're talking about is firehouse relocation program, the paging system, which we decided to delay until we started building the new stations because it didn't make a lot of sense to me to try and get those paging systems put into stations that might have turned around and been replaced anyway. We've been lucky that we've been able to get that paging system to continue to work. And that's worked out for us, but that'll happen coming up as well. Improve our station energy efficiency. One of the things we're looking at is LEDs, whether or not there's a possibility of putting in things like some green energy, whether it's solar or something along those lines. Continued technological updates. Building our professional development and succession plans, which was one of the main things that I wanted to do, is make sure that we're preparing people for that next step, making sure that you're preparing the person to take your place. So that's one of the main things that we've been working on, and training has done a lot with that. Addressing some of the department diversity shortfalls, so as far as now that we're out of COVID and we have the ability to go out and get amongst people and try and tell them what a great profession this is and try and get quality people to come and work for us. That's going to be one of the things that I know Jim Price is going to be attacking this summer. So extrication, dive, boat, drone, all that kind of stuff. We're going to continue to try and work towards making sure that we have good equipment for when we have to utilize any of those types of things. And then develop some pension strategies. That was one of the things that I talked about last year. That I think that I would like to see an opportunity for us to have some good discussions about how we can help with that. Deferred maintenance is just, we have older houses, we have some older houses, and hopefully we're going to be replacing several of those coming up here over the next couple of years, but there's still things like roofs and windows and doors that we need to take care of. And the apparatus replacement program. And then the other thing, one of the main initiatives that we've really tried to push out is through the training department is overall firefighter wellness, whether that's physical or whether that's mental. We're trying to make sure that our people, especially, we have a stressful job, that we make sure that people are doing that to take care of themselves, because if they can't take care of themselves, then they can't take care of the community. So I know I talk fast, but hopefully that will get you out of here faster. On the next page, there is a rendering from the exterior from the architect of what one of the station designs that we have, and that's one of the single. That's for a single rig, has 2 bays, and then if you turn to the next page, it gives you a floor plan of what that would look like. There will probably be some slight changes as those things come about. I'm happy to forward them on to you so that you can stay abreast of those. Other than that, I do have my budget line by line in front of me as well, in case you have any questions as far as that goes.
Chief, on your 1102 line.
Yep.
Are you budgeted for, what was it?
217.
17?
It is. All I know is that.
So that's currently we have enough money for 217 and 1102.
That is the way that I understand it. The only question that I have, and I haven't had an opportunity to ask OBM about this yet, is when we do have the contract in place, there'll be some back pay does that come out of that same line, or is that something that occurs in a different fashion?
As we talked about in the overview, one thing that is not in the budget is anything that might come from open contracts and police fire.
Well, and the other question I have is, you said you were talking about bringing in another class. How many people are you bringing in?
I talked to the mayor today, and he told me that we needed to look at 18 in light of the number of retirements that we're expecting and where we're at right now.
Because, I mean, the way I see it, it's like a teeter-totter. You know, if we don't hire, our overtime's gonna stay the same.
Right.
It takes about 3/4 of a year to bring in a class to where
It does.
okay, so we're giving you $1 million on your 1104. Now you figure half of the, well, I guess the question is with that many will we have to raise that? Do we need to raise that 1102 line? Because right now you're at 201, did you say?
201. Mm-hmm.
And you're so we may need a little bit more in that if necessary. That's something you guys can, but I still think that, we need to look at increasing the overtime line, or at least three, for this year, and, with the idea that it's going to, we're going to see relief after 3 quarters. We're only going to get 1 quarter of relief. So if we put in another 700,000 or something in there, I think would be beneficial. But, I'm going to caution you that, okay, so we're bringing in a class, a rather large class, and everybody here says, okay, we do this, we're going to save overtime. Trust me, we've heard this before.
I know.
We have heard this before.
Right.
From one of your predecessors that stood right there at the same time saying, if we do this, we all, a lot of us on here heard that.
Right.
So when they come on board, I want to make sure we see,
I ran a scenario
some relief.
today using the software that I used that I was plus or minus probably 3 to 5% on what I predicted for this year. And it was pretty close to the same number for what overtime ended up being this year. I think that if we are able to hire the larger class, and there are several individuals that are already EMTIs or paramedics or even RNs. The amount of time that it takes to train them is shorter because they don't have to have that last 3 months. So those people would be on by October. So then you're going to get about 5 months of relief. It's definitely going to help. I think that overtime I don't know if I expect overtime to be much less, but if that's the situation, I expect the overtime to be less than it is this year. Where you're going to see significant changes will be for the following year. But that is one of those things too that I think that we're going to need another class after that, because I am predicting that we will have at least 12 people leave this year and at least 12 people leave next year. So, and we're down a few now. So if we hire 18, 2/3 of that group is already there's going to be 9 people already gone by the time that we get any of them in place. So we don't like where we're sitting. The person who likes where we're sitting right now, overtime wise, is talking to you right now. I really don't like to be in this situation, and I don't like to put the rest of you in this situation. So I will tell you this, if we get this class of 18 hired, and then we can follow that up. We can look at what makes sense going forward after that. It will give us relief for FY24.
Right.
For sure. This year it just takes so long to get people in place, and we realize that, but we don't want to rush that either, because then you end up with a substandard product. So.
Right, I understand. Okay, Alderman Donelan first, and then Alderman Redpath. You'll get your turn.
Just relax. You know,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chief, thank you for that presentation. You know, one of the things that happened last year is we had a discussion about overtime, and you went into great detail as far as what causes it and so forth. And we did, as you know, we as a council cut back the number a little bit with the understanding that you would be updating us on a regular basis, so there's no surprises, and you've done just that, and I want to thank you for that. I don't like the numbers that you've been sending to us.
I
but-
don't like sending them, they're terrible.
But, you know, you'd mentioned that right now we have 201 sworn firefighters, and the optimum number is 220. I mean, that's, 218, 220, whatever, right in that range.
Right.
And, a wise friend of mine said years ago and recently, it's hard to argue math. And if you look at the balance, and if you look at the balance over time of the number of sworn versus the overtime cost, when we have a number that's right around 220, the overtime cost tends to be down.
Correct.
That's a fact.
Yes.
And especially with history there. So I'm glad to hear, Mayor, that you're going to, the target is right around 218 or at 218. I would even encourage a few more because, as you know, you have washouts and things of that nature, and it's always, from a cost standpoint, it's always good economically to, and you have to hire
Right.
as many as possible in a class and something to look at. But one of the other things I wanted to talk about, and I know we don't want to get into the report that we just got the other day. However, I do know that one of the recommendations was hiring this EMS coordinator immediately. So I was happy to hear that that is in this budget.
It is.
And so kudos. And then I did want to ask, you kind of skirted around it. You were very clear that we were going to have some equipment, meaning engine and truck needs.
Right.
Are there any new engines or trucks in this budget?
There are not. There are two Explorers for our fire safety people.
Right.
But there is no further apparatus purchases in this particular budget.
Okay. I'd like to talk to OBM about what our equipment fund looks like and see if there's a possibility. Because as you know, as you stated clearly this evening, it takes months, sometimes years, and it's the same way with public works
16 to 18 months,
Yeah, it's outrageous.
12 to 14. There you go.
The house that you showed us, this nice rendering of that's on the screen here, what's the approximate cost of that, just out of curiosity? I know I'm not going to hold you to it, I know you don't, but
3.5-ish, I think, is
Wow.
what it ended up being. Yeah,
wow.
yeah. It's, building fire stations is not a cheap endeavor,
Is
that's
there-
for sure.
And as those things also take time, is there any proposed expenditure in this budget?
Well, in the budget, no, because they changed, and I think that Director McCarty could speak to that a little bit better, but last year we had it in the 095 portion of the budget, which we're doing something different with that, which I'm sure that he talked about in his portion of it, but there's no money in my budget for it. I understand that it would be a city expenditure, a capital expenditure.
Right, and Mr. McCarty, is that in the city general budget?
Yeah, the firehouse is there in the OBM budget.
And what is that total amount?
12 million is the total amount, 8 million corporate and 4 million ARPA.
Thank you. And then finally, it's a question. I know we have these special teams or ops or whatever the appropriate verbiage is, but somebody asked me the other day, I thought it was a good question. When we have firefighters assigned to these particular teams, are they in the house doing, I'll call regular firefighter duties, and then when there's an
They
incident?
are.
Okay.
Every day when we make our fire roster up, we have probably on most of the teams, we have between 25 and 40 personnel that are on those teams, and then they're just normal shift people. And then some of them are in training, or they also are in fire safety, but each day it lists, okay, we have hazmat personnel on engine 1, engine 6, engine 8, truck 2, and truck 3. And then if we have a hazmat incident, what we do is we figure out a collection point where we put those people on a rig, or we take some hazmat type of apparatus there and take care of that. And then we put all those other rigs back in service so that they're not extra people that are on every day. They're not paid more for coming in on those, except for under extreme circumstances. If we had a multi-day or a week-long, some type of, we had a train derailment, and if that would have been way worse than what we had and we had a large spill, then we may call people in and have to pay them overtime. A lot of times that would be paid for with federal funds or state funds or something anyway. But on a day-to-day basis, we have people from those teams working every day just in firehouses.
Well, I appreciate that clarification because it seems like it's an efficient way of doing things, and then the regular duties are being performed as well. So, Chief, thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Redpath.
Chief, could you tell me, are we still, did we have a list of firefighters that already tested that we've been holding this whole time and why we didn't hire? And why?
Yeah, we hire, or we give the tests generally every 2 years. And the last test that we gave was right about 12 months ago. We had some issues getting the test given because we could only put 10 people in a room and everything else with some of the COVID restrictions. But we have a list right now that's in place that has 200-ish candidates on it.
So when we used to train at Firehouse Number 2, because we used to do our own academy. We don't do that no more. You have to go for state
No,
certificate.
we still do our own academy. Okay. Now we move around where that occurs. Some of the training happens with the over at the building that used to be called MCLI Memorial, because they have really, really good medical training areas over there. But for the most part, we do it at the Children's Safety Village out by UAS.
How did the COVID interact? How did COVID stop us from hiring? Because I keep hearing the reason we didn't hire is because of COVID. Is it because we couldn't put those people all at the training academy? Is that what that?
Well, it would have probably created some issues as far as that goes, especially the maximum of 10 people in a classroom. We had a list in place that we could have probably done it, but it would have been a little bit more convoluted than usual.
On to another subject. Do we have intergovernmental agreements with fire departments outside the city, like Chatham, Sherman?
We have an automatic agreement with Chatham for certain areas out on the southwest end right now that are mostly in the Panther Creek and Piper Glen areas. We belong to MABUS, and when that happens, that means that anytime any of these outside departments can request our assistance for generally larger things. They don't ask us to come to a regular house fire in Riverton generally, but they can.
So Chatham does cover the south end of our area a little bit, because I know I've had them out on Fairview, West Fairview, responding to out there when Toronto was probably tied up or something. I don't know.
Well, generally speaking, their fire trucks don't come into our district other than those two areas that I just mentioned, and that's because we have an automatic aid agreement with them. But we have had their ambulance. They operate 3 ambulances a lot of times, and when our ambulances are on an extended wait time, they will go ahead and call Chatham and ask them to send their ambulances.
Just so you know, I've talked to the mayor about the ambulance service and asked that we put together a forum of some time to bring those ambulance owners in here to find out what the heck's going on.
Right.
And we understand that their staffing is just like everybody else because of that.
Sure.
There's got to be a solution if we can help with that.
Right.
Of the firehouses, this is for Mr. McCarty. The firehouses, you said $12 million. How many firehouses will that build?
Well, that's to be determined. We had a call today with the architects and.
They raise their price?
What's that?
Just go ahead.
Yeah, well, what we've been told is what the word is out there is until they're actually ready to go out and bid these things, the prices are kind of fluctuating up and down. The 12 million that was put in there, to answer your question, was theoretically for 4 firehouses.
Okay, and then, Mayor, we talked about buying some quints. Is the quint something that you guys are interested in?
I think the quint concept is more of a entire concept for a fleet line. So I think I would say that there are definitely places for quints, but if you're going to do that, I think that you have to have a large scale plan on how you're going to implement it. You can't just buy them and throw them out there because they're a totally different type of piece of equipment. They're an engine and a truck together. that sounds like a great thing that, you know, you're putting two good things together, but it also brings along the myriad of issues where you're going to have all the problems of an engine and all the problems of a truck as well. They're bigger and heavier running down the street. We have people that complain about that. I know that, you know, Nate Bottom probably doesn't want heavier equipment running down the street anymore than we have to either. So it's something that is definitely something that I'm going to meet with the mayor and discuss whether is this the direction that we want to go. We're open to that if it makes the most sense, but I hate to tell you that, yes, that's the way we're going to go.
So
'cause
do
don't
I
know that
understand
yet.
that the ladder trucks don't carry water? Is that right?
We have two of them that are already quints. Now they're older quints, but they do carry, but they only carry 300 gallons of water as opposed to 750 is what we carry for the others.
Okay. And my final question is, we've always had a problem with false alarms. Do we charge back for the false alarms? We used
No.
to.
That's, I can't answer that as far as I don't know whether we did or we didn't in the past. I know that there's some aversion, you know, sometimes to laying that on business owners for that. We used to have things called nuisance alarms that I think that maybe we did call if we were there 3 to 5 times in a month or
Right.
something, then you might send them a bill. But that's one of those things where if that's something that the city wants me to do, then we'd be happy to set up something so that we can do that.
I think it was brought into place, Chief, because that we had consistent false alarms at certain places, and it was a long
Still the
time.
case.
It was probably my first mayor I went through, or maybe my second mayor.
That was like the 70s.
Some things never change.
That's right. Thanks, Chief.
Alderwoman DeSenso.
I think Alderwoman Conley was
Oh,
first.
I'm sorry, Alderwoman Conley and then Alderwoman DeSenso.
Well, thank you, Alderwoman. Well, Chief, I actually, I am going to go a little bit into the report, mostly because I spent a lot of time reading this weekend. One of the things that really jumped out at me, and I think this needs to be said in front of everybody, is that they called our Springfield Fire Department one of the best organizations they had evaluated. There was a lot of praise for our fire department. I think you've done an excellent job leading through some very difficult times. We talk about COVID as if that was, I mean, we're talking about running a fire department through COVID. Well, we can't have, you know, close contact. I mean, you use 6 feet, all of these things. You've done a remarkable job juggling, and I think that was reflected in this report. The quality of our fire department, our firefighters was called out, and I will tell you, I don't know why we waited so long for this report. It was really fabulous for what it said about our fire department. It was very impressive. So it's nice to go after other people have spoken because, again, some of my questions and comments have already been brought up. I do have a little clarification, though, on the EMS coordinator position. So you said you're getting rid of 2 civilian positions to fund that?
Last year, we were able to take 2 positions and attrit them that both positions were currently open. And so that was what I was going to utilize to pay for the other spot. And then just with the other issues within the 1,100 lines and the overtime, I tried to hold it off as long as we could because we knew that 1,100s line was really bleeding, so.
So, but what did those civilian positions do? I mean, if they had a function, because I'm looking, and you've got pretty consistently, we had, you know, a civilian force as part of your workforce.
One of them was our SCBA technician, and he took care of all of our air packs, and then he also did it was that mainly. He was a technician as far as he went to school for that. And then it was other duties as assigned. He would deliver things. He would fix things here and there as he had to. I think that, you know, if we needed him to plow snow, which, you know, that would have been nice to have maybe in a couple of days, but we're gonna have to figure that part out.
We're gonna let Nate take care of that.
Yeah. And then the other position was another kind of a similar. He was our I can't remember what the term for it was, but he took care of grounds, ground maintenance. He did, you know, do some light work, maintenance work inside the houses and stuff. He was a full-time guy, but, you know, we felt that we might have the ability, and what we have done a lot is use CWLP personnel, and they've come in and just done a fantastic job for us with any electrician issues, or we've had them do some plumbing and painting and all that kind of stuff. So that's worked out great for us.
Okay, so your air packs are kind of important.
They are.
Is that something that firefighters have taken over then to?
No,
do
we,
that, or-
we were able actually to outsource that to MES, which is a company that can take care of that. In fact, he was just here like last Thursday, and basically we gather up anything that has any issues. He pulls his van in, and he has all the parts, and he can do it that way. And it's cost effective. It was a good move for us.
Okay, that's good to know. So you mentioned EMS calls are taking a longer time, and we've kind of touched on the fact that ambulance response time is decreased. And we've kind of talked about this. When our fire truck arrives first, what sort of medical supplies do we have on hand that we can use? I mean, our firefighters are EMS certified also, so they're administering certain medications?
They are. Our engines are all EMTI level, which means that EMT intermediates do have a small group of drugs that they're able to give. If that's necessary, we have a defibrillator. We have, we can give all sorts of care to them before an ambulance gets there. One of the issues will be when we do get into those more serious cardiac strokes, really bad traumas, and there's nothing available. That there's horror stories out there. That this is not just a Springfield thing. This happens everywhere, and you get into, well, do we throw them in the back of this pickup truck, or there's actually been fire crews that have put them in fire trucks. And our people, that's not what we do, but we have been lucky enough that we haven't had somebody who's in full arrest, or somebody who is going to bleed out if we don't get them to the hospital yet. And once again, this is something that's out of our control. These are privatized companies, and we can do our best to work with them. They did put a BLS, some BLS ambulances in from time to time. They're not as high a level of care, obviously, but they do have the ability to at least transport those people to the hospital faster.
So just wondering, so if we administer medications, administer treatment, and then an ambulance comes and transports that patient to the hospital, who bills for that treatment?
The ambulance companies bill for that treatment. Generally,
The company can bill for treatment that our fire department delivers?
the way that I understand it, that's the way that it works.
I mean, I think that's a conversation we need to have when we bring these ambulance companies in. And then I understand there are times when the ambulances do not have anyone certified to travel, that continuation of care to travel with a patient to the hospital. So in that case, what happens?
So that would be something that would mostly happen in the case of a BLS ambulance, which were just put in place. If it's one of those situations where we got to get this person to the hospital, and we have started care at the EMTI level, the intermediate level, our people will have to continue that care, or it's called abandonment.
Right, so
Patient
we send our
abandonment.
firefighters in the
We
ambulance.
do, and this is a different situation since we're in charge of care in the back of the ambulance, whereas usually it's been a paramedic that was still in that ambulance that was controlling the care. But we have ridden in, we've been doing that ever since I've been on in the late 90s, way back in the 1900s. We've ridden in on ambulances on significant serious calls. But now we're just put in a position where we're in charge of that call sometimes.
Right.
It's unusual, but it does happen.
Yeah, and I will say, it's a concern for me. Obviously, I have some more concentrated senior populations in my ward, so, that level of immediate response, the promptness, I've been through family members having heart attacks. There's a window, and one of those windows has you coming out very quickly, and the other one does not.
Right.
And it gets progressively smaller. So I do appreciate having that level of service in our fire department. Just a couple of other things. Notice your training budget doesn't seem significantly changed. Just want to comment again, did a lot of reading. training was one aspect of our fire department that we were we came out very high in that report, where they was very well commended, lots of ongoing professional development. Fighters do training every day, in between running trucks by the city council meetings. So certainly appreciate that.
That's a bonus.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well done to them. And finally, I just want to say, I very impressed with the drone initiative. I was looking forward to hearing about that. Again, our fire department, you're bringing this in at no cost to the city. So we have our firefighters who are getting trained and learning new skills and applying them in ways that improve the safety of our citizens. So again, Chief, I thank you. I thank your command staff and most especially the men and women who step up every day. I would like to see a few more women, obviously.
Doing our best.
Thank you very much.
Chief, real quick, hold on a second. I got a follow-up to Aaron's question. So you're saying that we don't get reimbursed for EMS supplies that we use on site?
We get reimbursed for supplies. Now, whether, like, if we use, like if we have a full arrest and we have to use some type of tube or something that we use to intubate
Patient
somebody,
tube, yeah.
then they will give those back to us, provided that they have them. Any medications, for the most part, that we push, syringes, all those type of things, they do reimburse us for.
all right.
Now, whether or not they bill for our services or not, I cannot guarantee. I've never asked that, but I know that we provide services that we do not get paid for the service itself.
Okay. Alderwoman DeCenso, sorry about that. I just had to follow up.
Yeah, thanks. As someone who oversees a smaller fire department and a police force, I completely understand recruiting, training, and where you are right now, because we have faced the exact same challenges. We just brought on a class of 25 conservation police officers, and we had to do so very carefully because it all started, again, during Omicron. So that is a valid concern, and I'm glad you erred on the side of caution. I would like to also add about diversity, not just women, but also people of color. You guys don't look like us up here.
Did Doris call you and tell you to
I was going to
every
say,
time
in
that
honor
I've
of
ever been
Senator
in this
Turner,
room?
I know. I'm speaking for her, but I do have to bring it up because it is a concern.
Absolutely, and it is. That's one of the hard parts about, we went through the period of COVID and weren't able to hire, and then now weren't able to recruit either. So it will be something that we hit the ground running, and we have a focus on.
Thank you. I want to commend your social media. You do an excellent job of letting the public know where you are, what's going on. You really ease up a lot of questions that we would get because, we know what's going on and we can share that information. So thank you. And the last thing I'm going to say is I have full faith and confidence in you, Chief, in you.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry for some comments that have been made in the past few weeks. You have a tough enough job as it is, and I just want to let you know how I feel.
Appreciate that.
Alderman Gregory.
Sorry.
And Alderman, hold on, and then I've got let me make sure I got everybody, and then I got Alderman McMenamin, and did I miss anybody? Alderman Williams will be after that.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, Chief, for a good report. The study actually was very interesting. I did see, some red spots, showing that, a lot of fires and things, structural fires have happened. Your social media, I echo Alderwoman DeCenso. They've done a good job of, that's how you work social media if you want to get your point across. And, they definitely, let us know,
Right.
what the issues are and stuff like that. So I appreciate that. Even when I don't like it or responded, I'm definitely looking at it. I definitely agree. Our minority numbers are black, our women. We want to see some flavor in our department. Not because anybody cares about what color people pick them up, but we want young kids to know that. Guess what? You can be a Springfield Fire Department.
Absolutely.
That's sort of the thing. So I commend you. You got a tough job. You knew it when you came about this overtime. one-time thing, so let's keep working at it.
Yep.
I think the EMS thing eventually will help us out, hiring some people, but in these two classes, because I'm sure we're going to have a couple of them, let's try to, go hard at our minority
We're going to
numbers.
do our best.
And, I'm always a person that try to come with solutions, so, I talked to you a little bit about some partnerships over in our community that I think that can help you with that.
Yep, I'd love to talk more with you about
Yes, sir.
that.
Alderman McMenamin.
Chief, thank you for a comprehensive and informative presentation. I've got a question, but first, please introduce your senior staff.
Thank you, Joe.
We got Rick Ryman, he's our technical services chief. Nick Zumo, he's in operations. Ed Canny, he's fire safety. Mike Abbott, he's also in operations. And then Darb Calvert is our training chief.
Okay, thank you very much. So, we've got $12 million in for the firehouses. Last year, we cut some of that, I think a bunch of it out. And you've mentioned we've got very serious apparatus needs. We have rig needs. So just here's a hypothetical question scenario. Let's say we build Firehouse 6, which is landlocked in Kristen's.
Yeah, she just walked over
Okay.
there.
So let's say we rebuild that at the corner of Ash and 11th Street.
Sound that.
And then let's say we don't have enough money to do both firehouses and rigs. And the rigs are real expensive.
They are.
So from your point of view as chief, what's more important, those firehouses, after Firehouse 6 is done, we get one done, what's more important, the firehouses or the rigs, the equipment that the firefighters run every day?
Well, I know that it's one of the mayor's initiatives to try and replace some of our outdated firehouses. And that is, obviously something that we would like to get done. But at the same time, apparatus, if we can't get to the places where we need to be, then it's really, sometimes the houses, it's difficult. You're asked. I know that this is something that the mayor really wants, but at the same time, the apparatus it's something that we worry about. It really is. There was a time it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, where we were out of fire trucks. We had a couple of them that had mechanical issues. We had to take them over to fleet maintenance, and if one more had an issue, somebody ran into it, ran a red light and ran into the side of a fire truck, we weren't exactly sure how we were going to get people to places. It's one of those things. I think you can do both. I think that it's one of those things where, if you're sensible about it, like I said, we need to look at other things such as, possibly leasing some equipment, which might make sense on a lot of levels. We might be able to get new apparatus for cheaper costs. We have in the past gone out and found used apparatus. It's not our favorite thing to do because generally if somebody is getting rid of a fire truck, it's because it's been a pain for them. There's something wrong with it. It's no different than a car. But I think that there's an opportunity, and I'm really not trying to sidestep the question. I think there's an opportunity to be able to do both, and the mayor and I have talked about sitting down and having a more comprehensive plan as far as long-term planning for this. And I know that it is one of the initiatives of the mayor to get these stations built, and we do need them. If I had to choose between one house and 5 engines, though, and that's probably pretty close to the same amount of money, it's pretty hard to turn down 5 engines.
Okay, I think you really did a great job trying to give the optimistic answer, but I think the start of your answer was very accurate, and I appreciate that honesty, so thanks a lot.
Alderman Williams.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chief, for addressing us. This is more of for clarity. I'm for the firehouses. I think it's a good idea that we're building them. But the clarity comes in new fire station versus relocation. fire stations. So I had a list that I can't find right now that had the actual years these houses were built. And two of the house fire stations were built in 1954. Yet they're not a part of this new fire station. So the average citizen that I'm talking to is going, well, hey, we should be, because we was built in 1954, we should be getting.
Right.
So they're not understanding the relocation versus new versus, so what else went into the decision of which fire stations get to be acted on if it ain't age? And if you could explain the relocation process.
I wouldn't say that it's not age. I would say that's a factor, but like in the case of Station 6, and it was built in 1956, and I know that because I went there every day, and there's a plaque on the side of it went there for 10 years or so. So the difference between a firehouse that was built in 54 and 56, to me, they're the same age, and it's landlocked. More importantly is, has the needs of the community changed as far as when things, when we have developed in certain areas, obviously out to the southwest, there's Panther Creek and Piper Glen that we know that we do not get to fast enough, and we are trying to address that. I think in the case of the fire stations in your ward, one of the good things is guys who go and work at those firehouses, they take care of them because they like being there. They love being in that community. They love helping. They get a lot of opportunity to go out and get in that community. So those houses, for the most part, when you're talking about Station 5, Station 4, those are areas that those guys, they're the busiest guys in town as far as firehouses go, and they're there because they want to be busy and help. Well, that also leads over, those are the same type of people that make sure that the grass is mowed, and that if there's a leaky pipe somewhere, then they either take care of it or they call somebody to do it. Those houses are well kept for the most part. The other bad thing about it, as far as like the Station 5 at Martin Luther King and Clay, that firehouse is in the perfect spot. It is in, like, I wouldn't want to move that very far away because it's right in the middle of its district. The neighborhood knows where it's at. It's been there for a long time, and it works. So there's a couple of these houses, there's a difference now with Station 8 because we used to have the traffic issue. Maybe that's going to subside a little bit. We need to take that back into consideration. But that house, the issue that had changed is that we couldn't get in and out of that area of town as well. Station 5, Station 4, they're in good spots. So whether or not we build a brand new station back out in those areas, we're still going to be able to serve the public in those older buildings. And so we are going to look at, I think what we're going to look at is over the next 10 years, which are the ones that we should move and how should we move them. And a lot of that has to do with growth and that kind of stuff, and whether we see, and there are houses that are in worse shape than others, and 4 and 5 are not the ones that are in the worst shape.
Sure. I would agree with you. That my North 19th Street and Clay, those smaller.
They are. They're two. The one on 19th and just north of North Grand is, I think, our smallest station by square foot. And those guys, they, if we move that firehouse, there's going to be some guys, I like this little house. It's easy to keep clean, and there's a lot of good things about it. So each one has their pros and their cons, but I think what we need to look at is, a 5 to 10 year plan or even more as far as, okay, how do we move these around so that it works for everybody?
Okay.
Chief, real quick, a couple questions from, one of the things on the fire safety is plan reviews. I meant to bring this up for Nate. I think we need to, I don't know if you do it, but we need to start tracking when requests come in or plans come in and how long it takes us to get out. And I think that, I really think that we need to have metrics that we force them to keep. Now, granted, if you've got a big hospital or something that you're looking at, it's based on size, but I have had some complaints about the time it takes.
Right.
I've also had some complaints where all the other final inspections are done and they're waiting on the fire. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, with these business owners, the quicker, you know, their time is money too. And,
Sure.
and, you know, I just think we need to do that. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this question, and if you don't have it, you can email me with it. But, so we passed the ordinance about charging non-residents when they're in an accident, and we roll on it. How are we doing collecting on that? Or are we not doing it, or?
We are doing it. The issue what we need to do a better job of is not just relying on our crews to let us know when those occur. And part of the problem, the difficulty in it is that sometimes our people on scenes are so busy getting people out of cars and cleaning up oil spills and this kind of stuff. They never actually see, unless it's a California license plate, that it's somebody from out of town, or they don't notice. And we can do a better job of that. We do bill for our out of town people, just like you asked. I think that we are successful. Where'd you go? I was gonna say 50% of the time. Some people just tell us to pound sand, and there's not too much we can do about it, you know.
And that's a case where we need to maybe escalate it to our collection. But I think that we need to, I mean, we put this together, this benefits you guys.
Sure, I agree.
And we can put all the ordinances together, but if you guys can't,
Agreed.
you know, don't implement it, then it doesn't do, then that's on you. That's
Right.
on the department, all right? So.
And I will make a note to make sure that we make that something that we do a better job on. We need to look at the manner of tracking that. We have all sorts of manner of getting data and mining certain kinds of data. So generally, that's not something we have a problem with, but that's not something like we don't always enter in. We don't always get people's driver's license numbers or license plates or whatever. So that's not in our system a lot. But what we need to do a better job of is just making sure that our people know, hey, let's put this in every report that we have when we have something that's a spill like that.
All right, I think Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you. Yeah, I just had a quick follow-up to Alderman McMenamin's question. I would be very interested to see what sort of cost analysis we would get of leasing new vehicles and what the timeline for getting those would be. So if we need to kind of start planning, if that actually does save us money, and it's something that we can get started in the near future, so that we can then, moving forward, have those in line for the next budget.
I got a guy who loves to look into that kind of stuff, so.
I figured you'd have one guy at least.
Chief Abbott can start on that in the next day or two.
I'd appreciate it, because I think, you know, looking at the volume of your equipment that's over 15 and close to 20 years, you know, Alderman McMenamin, I think, was making the very valid point that we'd like to make sure that your equipment is safe and reliable and functional, so.
Right. Agreed. Thank you, Chief.
All right, Mayor?
Yeah,
And then
thank
we'll
you,
give
Mr.
them a
Chair.
break.
Have 6 points on various comments that were made. One is with regards to the report, I'm glad and ecstatic it did find that we have a Class 1 fire department. That's what the residents pay for, and that just codified that. Only 3% in the country reach that level, and that's premium service. The other thing the report showed is that it was an unbiased report. The administration didn't have a heavy thumb on it. And that's what it was all about. You know, how do we move towards the future? And that's what this report is supposed to help us with. Because the structure of the 1970s of a fire department is not where we need to go to. We need to go and modernize it to post-pandemic. The other part was with regards to what some people brought up with regards to equipment. And I've said this to Chief and others. We want to have more equipment. We want the fire trucks. We want better than having 15, I think it was 15. Is that right?
15 years old?
Yeah, I think there's like over 12 or 15 units. Yeah, it was 15 in the red. 1 in the yellow, 8 in the green. So we want them to have the best equipment, just like we're trying to do with the police. Give them the best so they can respond appropriately. But page 2 of this budget says it all. And it says 94% goes to personnel services, 6% operating lines. And so that's the challenge for us as we go to the future. And that's why we've been talking about what we have the past month or two. I know it's uncomfortable for all of us, but you know what's going to be more uncomfortable? If nothing is done, if we continue to put our heads in the sand and not pay attention to the problems of the pensions and everything else. With regards to the fire stations, the reason we're building it, and I don't mind just building 6, and the other one we need to build is by Panther Creek and Piper Glen. The reason for that, that's been needed for 30 years. When we talk about the Class 1 fire department, one of the first things out of the evaluators' mouths were 6-minute response time out in that direction, when the rest of the community enjoys 4 minutes. That's an issue. However, we were staffed for 14 fire stations, even though we have 12. And that's the point we've been trying to make. What's that proper balance of modernization to make sure we have the best equipment possible, the proper relocations of the houses, and modifying the other ones that need it? Because the pandemic should have taught us that the house of yesteryear is not the house of tomorrow. And that's why we're moving that direction. So those were the main items that I wanted to point out, but appreciate everybody's input. And of course, we always appreciate the first responders of the fire department. And nobody should take anything personal. It's nothing personal. It's about, let's have the fire department to be the one that can help lead us to the future as efficiently and effectively as possible. So thanks, Chief.
Mr. Chair, real briefly, and I don't want to take on Alderman Hanauer and Mr. Mayor at the same time, but I just want to make a comment about Panther Creek and Piper Glen. When I look at those maps of the report that we just received, there's no fires down there. There's minimal risk, meaning that it's modern construction. The properties are far away from each other. And so we just got to be realistic. The folks that moved out to Piper Glen and Panther Creek, they knew when they moved out there that they didn't have, quick fire response. And that's just the way it is. We need to put the fire response where the fires are and where the risk is. So, we all have different views on this, and that's what's great about a democracy. So
I'll close with this. They pay a lot of money in taxes, Joe, and I think that they're not getting what they're paying for in the fire service. And whether you like it or not, and I think these gentlemen up here will tell you that when a fire hits in Panther Creek, there's a lot more damage than if it's in your neighborhood, because
it's more
it takes
money?
that long. It takes that long.
I mean, because,
So
I would have to
Let's don't get
push
into
back
this.
on that
Come
one,
on,
because
man.
someone who is in a, disadvantaged neighborhood, it's going to affect their life a lot more.
they have 4 minutes. They have 3 and 4 minute
You're
response.
missing the point. You're missing the point I'm making.
I will tell you, it affects everybody.
Mr. Chairman.
All right. I was going to. Okay.
I just want to say that, Chief, this is the year that you should ask for more equipment. I'm for building the firehouses, but I know you need to replace those rigs, and you need to ask for it.
Right now?
All right. I'm gonna we'll take 5 minutes. 5 minutes. We'll start
Thank you.
at 20 after. I think that's.
McMillan got a point.
Thank you.
He got a point. Quit going to the fields and build neighborhoods without roads and schools and fire stations. And then complain that they don't have them. I don't care what they pay. They don't have
Chair, get under and beat his ass. About to see fish like that, bro. Where's the boy?
Yeah, we was hoping to go soon. Let's get this party started, get out of here. All right, let's get started. I'll call it back to order, and our newest police chief, I'd like to say congratulations to Chief Scarlett. And Mayor, nothing like throwing him into the fire than give. It was what, 11 o'clock today that you announced, and here we are, not even 11 hours later, and he's having to present his first budget. So
Yeah, we took the training wheels off.
So Chief
See how he
Scarlett,
does.
No place he'd rather be.
We're here to put the fire out, no pun intended to the fire force.
But can you run a rig by the window while we're talking?
I'm gonna have to get some texts out for that. Well, when I came in here, had been acting chief, I guess, for 6 or 7 hours, and now it's 7 or 8 or 9 hours worth, so.
You're an old veteran
Certainly
now.
make this as quick as possible. Well, good evening, Mayor and council members. Thanks for the opportunity to present the budget for the Springfield Police Department for fiscal year 2023. As you're all aware, as we just discussed, the SPD is in the midst of a transition phase of leadership, and this in no way impacts our mission or the efforts of the officers who actively serve and protect our community. This time, I would like to introduce our senior leadership staff real quick. I'll start from my left. I have Commander Sarah Pickford, Deputy Chief Andy Dodd. This is Xavier Rice. He's our telecommunications manager. Deputy Chief Don Mumo, Deputy Chief Josh Dunkel, and Bianca Sanchez. She's our fiscal officer and has been employed with us for about 6 days and really helped out tremendously. So we're grateful for her. So as this transition process evolves, I can assure you that each and every member of the current SPD leadership team, as you all see seated up here tonight, has a strong desire to work in concert with one another, always putting the needs of each member of this agency and the citizens of this community at the forefront. Together, we as a senior leadership team and members of one of the best law enforcement agencies around are committed, we're united, and will persevere through challenging times. And before I begin with the budget presentation, I'd just like to offer a brief quote from the great Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. It goes like this: "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but rather where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we stand strong together in all seasons of leadership for the betterment of this community. So I'd like to begin with the budget slide presentation. We'll start with department structure. This department structure has not changed, although there are a few current holes in the senior leadership staff. The mayor and I have discussed getting together and doing our best to shore those up to us so we can ensure smooth operation of the department. Three main divisions, again, Field Operations Division, Criminal Investigation Division, and the Admin Services. Field Ops Division is the largest division and makes up our patrol officers, our neighborhood police officers, and various ancillary duties. Criminal Investigations Division, as the name implies, there are detectives that handle property crimes, crimes against persons, and it's made up of various task force members as well. And our Administrative Services Division, in charge of our budget, records, evidence, supply, and various other sections. I will tell you that it's mainly comprised of civilian employees, and 2021 saw a bunch of civilian turnover from this administrative division, and we've worked through some major holes in the process and have hired some civilian employees to include Bianca and Xavier up here have done a tremendous job for us. So to discuss our workforce, as you can see, we've remained relatively flat over the last 10 years. This year we are asking for 3 additional bodies, 3 additional officers, and I'll discuss those in the future slides. As you can see, we're asking for a sworn workforce of 253, albeit currently we have 228 officers. Of those 228, only 173 are actively out there working, whether that's due to training, military, family medical leave, injuries, or whatnot. Regarding our minority makeup, our department's comprised of 23 black males, 2 black females, 2 Asian males, and 8 Hispanic males, as well as 29 white females. From a civilian standpoint regarding the workforce, it's again remained relatively flat with 31 current civilian employees, 3 of which are vacant, and we're looking to hire those rather quickly. Workload and service levels, as you can see, our calls for service dropped by 10,000 from 2020 to 2021, and the number was 100,468, and that's actually down from our 10-year average of 118,565. So why were those numbers down? Well, the good news is that, believe it or not, crime was down in Springfield according to our Part 1 index crimes. And as I alluded to in a previous email, we will have a presentation in the upcoming weeks regarding our crime stats for calendar year 2021. Additional reason why our calls for service are down. Well, our manpower numbers are down, which means our productivity levels decrease naturally with less officers. Additionally, there were COVID restrictions placed upon our officers, and this number here does not include our online reports from CopLogic, which amounted to a couple hundred. All right, regarding our budgeted funds, as you can see, we really have one major piece of discussion, which is our corporate fund. The rest of our funds are comprised of restricted funds, whether that be for grants, DUI funds, state drug forfeiture, federal asset forfeiture, and the like. I'm going to buzz through this and really focus on the corporate slides. So this is what the operating lines look like for all funds versus personnel services. The next slide is the budget cost center. Again, this is all funds. I really like to focus on the next slide, which will be the corporate fund. All right, so from a corporate fund perspective, again, our operating lines make up 18% versus 82% of our personal services lines. And so where's the increase this year? Well, it's mainly the 5 first cost centers on the page here, and I'll break those down in the upcoming slides as well. As you can see at the bottom, our increase is 8.62% from last budget. However, if you break that down, there are some funds that are are uncontrollable, some funds that come with a revenue stream, and then some increases that are controllable. And when you parcel all that out, really there's about a 3.38% increase in controllable spending, which amounts to about $1.7 million. So if we discuss what exactly the increases are, I'll start with the personnel services line. Again, this was increased by about $2.9 million. The main contributing factor was the voluntary addition to the police pension of $1.45 million, as well as the increase in employer share of the health care of $755,000. One of the other increases, like I talked about, we'd like to add 3 additional officers. If there's one thing that I heard from the ward meetings is we need more MPOs. And we heard you, and we would like to add 2 additional MPOs, which will be split amongst our Beat 500 and as well as the downtown area. Additionally, we feel it's necessary to hire another school outreach officer similar to our current school resource officers. However, this one would be focused on middle school age children and teaching some sort of DARE program to these children to try and get to them before the high school level and maybe change or influence their behavior. Next cost center is the contractual services, and it's up $625,000. Mainly, again, an uncontrollable factor is the dispatch contract increased by $246,000. As we begin to hire more officers because of our vacancies, that means our training budget has to go up. So training, it went up $128,000 as each new officer costs approximately $7,000 to send to the academy. Part of that money is, however, reimbursed depending on what the state has available. As Donna mentioned earlier with OPED, we did receive a grant, roughly $532,000 to partner with Memorial Behavioral Health on co-responder model regarding mental health related calls. And so this year we've added $133,000 in the budget, which is for the planning portion. And finally, there's an increase of $109,000 for the insurance premium. Regarding commodities, again, this one's only up slightly, $85,000. We saw major supply chain issues have for some time, as well as cost increase, mainly when it comes to ammunition. Ammunition is something that's scarce and hard to come by, and the price has increased tremendously. So there's an increase there. And additionally, as we hire new officers, we need more equipment for them to include uniforms, body armor, et cetera. So an increase there. So regarding the equipment, this is where a majority of our new initiatives lie. And I'd like to just go over a few of those. Again, a lot of these new initiatives revolve around three things, all of which we've either heard from you all or state mandates, and that's traffic problems. Again, from various ward meetings as well as emails and conversations, I know that traffic is a major issue right now, so we're going to do our best to address that with technology. So some of our new initiatives include 60 in-car cameras, 60 in-car radar systems. From a de-escalation standpoint, we have 30 BOLA wraps on here. And I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's essentially it's kind of a machine that looks like a taser. It shoots out a wire that's got treble hooks on both ends. It's meant to wrap an individual's arms and or legs up to try and for us to detain them prior to any more force being used. So it's actually a pre-use of force piece of technology. Additionally, we're asking for 2 additional speed trailers. I know that was one thing that's very popular amongst each of you to get out there that show the speeding signs, and the two that we have are currently on the fritz, so it's important that we get those. We're asking for a drone. As you heard from the fire department, we think that the drone technology is the state of the art and the future for law enforcement, for various perspectives, from crime scene management, looking for suspects, any sort of active incident. It'd be necessary and important to have that overall footage. Asking for 2 additional traffic data collectors for a total of $8,000. These are the covert traffic pieces of equipment. We're asking for 5 additional pole cams. Pole cams are something that help us, whether it be traffic, whether it be crimes. If we want covert cameras, it'd be a nice tool to have. And finally, one thing that we're mandated through the Safety Act is additional training components. And state-of-the-art training is through virtual reality goggles. I know you see that the kids have that sort of stuff, so it's actually a law enforcement component there as well. So we're asking for virtual reality goggles for training component. All right, so to continue on with the slides, our EDP is up $620,000. Now, this was mainly due from we had some money that was in from the Axon contract that was actually in the wrong line, so we had to redistribute that over to the 1600s. So that's one of the reasons that line has changed. However, we are asking for approximately 100 new GTAC computers and 60 desktop computers. As you know, our officers' office space is in their squad car, and as part of their office, they need a computer that's modern and that can accept software and can run the current software that we have. So our computers are 10 to 13 years old for the most part. They don't support some of the current software that we have, and there's also some increasing security issues. So what are some of our accomplishments? Well, we've implemented ShotSpotter Connect. That's a predictive analytics sort of data-driven program that tells our officers specific locations to patrol in town with the intention of reducing crime over the long term. And we're still waiting on analysis of how exactly that program has worked as we unfold it. And as well as the CopLogic, that's the online reporting system. That's a valuable tool that can help the public report crimes and do so, really on their schedule, as they can just get online and make the reports. Of course, we've navigated through the COVID pandemic too. One of the things that we were forced to do is go to 12-hour shifts because of manpower situations. We know that's only temporary. Our goal is, when manning gets back to optimal levels, is to sit down and see what's best for this agency and for the city. Community reinvestment. Even through the pandemic, we were able to have several meet and greets, polar patrols, Operation Juice Boxes. We partnered with the U.S. Attorney's Office on the BLAST program, and we just finished our Citizens Police Academy, to include many more other community initiatives. We successfully transitioned to NIBRS. This is the National Incident-Based Reporting System. Again, this is a federally, nationwide sort of crime reporting tool that will put every city in this country on the equal playing field when it comes to reporting stats. This is one of the reasons why it's taken us a while to get our year-end stats together. We continue our emphasis on community policing initiatives, recruiting and diversification of the workforce. One thing that we did was partner with the NAACP on a recruitment fair at their building earlier this year. We've embraced law enforcement best practices through policy and procedure updates and transparency as a result of nationwide and statewide enforcement reform. Remember, the Safety Act has several years of mandates, and there are some that we've already met and some that are forthcoming in the current year. A couple other accomplishments. We implemented a diversity advisory committee. This was really a couple of us senior staff came up with this idea. It's a diverse working group from within the department. Their focus is on cohesive working relations both internally and then to take that externally. So just a good group, a good mix of individuals, future leaders of this agency that can sit down and have conversations about how we can internally work better as men and women of the department. And then we continue leadership and staff development, and the mayor's mentioned it several times how important a succession plan is, and this is the first step right here, is to ensure that our leaders and future leaders receive this valuable training. So some of our goals. If there's one goal that we need to accomplish, it's goal number one: restore our manpower to optimal levels. We will do our absolute best to hire, to ensure that the men and women, that we have ample men and women out there to answer the calls for service and to remain safe as they go about their daily duties. So we just recently hired 15 in January. We have 10 scheduled for an April hire. If backgrounds go good, we'll have an additional 10 in a May hire. And then we're recently promoting our testing process. We're going to be testing February 19th, 26th, and 28th for an August hire. So I ask each of you as we sit here today, if you know someone who you think would be good at law enforcement, now is the best time to have them sign up. Other goals. We're in the process of hiring a community care coordinator. This will be someone who deals specifically with homeless outreach. If there's one thing that we've seen is that there are a specific number of individuals that are responsible for the majority of calls for service when it comes to homeless. So if we can have someone who can help those individuals throughout the process, we may be able to reduce our workload by helping out the homeless. And that goes in line with the second, or the next bullet point, the implementation of the Connect and Protect grant. Again, this is that Memorial Behavioral Health grant that Donna spoke of. And again, we know that we see individuals who are users of major calls for service, I should say, repetitive calls for service, excuse me. And if we can get them the help that they need for the long term, that should reduce our calls for service ultimately. Our goal is to complete the ILEAP accreditation process. That should be done in June of 2022. We're in the process of reestablishing our focused deterrence program. Again, we believe that's one of the main components to reduce violent crime as we move forward. I spoke about the leadership and development. We continue to meet and exceed statewide reforms and mandates. And then our focus is on crime reduction through data-driven policing initiatives, community collaboration and partnerships to include our ShotSpotter Connect program that I spoke of, the LPRs that we've discussed here recently, which are just a few weeks out from beginning the installation process, as well as our CompStat 360 model. Finally, speaking of the virtual reality goggles, our goal is to streamline the training process utilizing current technology to include those goggles as well as our online meter system. That is the slideshow presentation in a nutshell. I'd certainly entertain any questions.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you for your presentation and congratulations again.
Thank you.
My first question I have is, how many MPOs are we missing?
We are currently down 3 MPOs. Well, there's 8 neighborhood police officers plus a homeless outreach team officer. So that really makes 9 that fit that. We have 3 that we're missing. However, one thing that I'd like to stress and that we will stress moving forward is that we want all of our officers to be neighborhood police officers. Obviously, they're out there answering the calls for service, and calls for service may not permit that, but our goal is to get the community policing concept into the minds of each and every one of our officers.
So Chief Scarlett, does that mean that you're transitioning into that instead of rehiring for those positions? Like, I've lost one personally.
When we have 253 officers, we will have 10 dedicated neighborhood police officers and an additional 243 that I would like to see is, that are doing the same job.
Okay, and then my second follow-up, I think I heard you say we're a few weeks out for the LPRs, to get placement.
So we're finishing up contract talks, and once that's all signed off, then they'll begin the process of coming in, and they have to work out some kinks with some permits or whatnot, and then they'll begin the install process, yes.
Okay, and do you know about how long that process will take once they get everything ready? Will it be
this-
like 30 days? Will it be like a week or two?
Yeah, I think 4 to 6 weeks, really. Some of them will go up fairly quickly. The ones they rely on permits will, and essentially, once they're up, we can begin to use them. We don't have to wait for all of them to be
Okay.
in place, so.
That's what I was gonna follow up with next. Thank you, that's it.
Anyone else? Alderman Gregory and then
Thank you.
Alderman Donald.
I just want to do definitely stress the importance of our minority hiring. You guys are actually, I was looking at the numbers from when I first came in or first running, and we have improved our minority recruitment numbers. I'm happy to see a young lady on the command staff who switches it up. I know Alderwoman Turner used to definitely speak on that about getting some flavor in our leadership, and I believe that you're committed to doing that. I ain't gonna call you chief yet till he bring the orders up, but you do a good job. I'm just messing with you. You do a good job. I did want to say for our recruiting, I would like to see, and I know the NAACP does fine, but there are some other groups that's going to help us dig a little deeper into our community, and I'll forward those names to you, like Frontiers, people like that. They have a good group of young men that they mentor every day, and I think that's an opportunity to really partner with them for the long haul. So I appreciate you.
I would just say one thing to that. I don't have all the answers, and I've got a great team here, but we still don't have all the answers. So any input that I get from anybody that can make this a more successful organization, whether that be through recruiting or technology, whatever the case may be, I'm certainly welcome to hear that, for sure.
And my final thing is, I'm definitely happy to hear about our mobile speed cameras and all of that, because trust me, the Alderwoman decision. We just had a citizen really talking about this in our historic area where we got a lot of speeding at, and we always try to address it, but they're a little tired of hearing the same answer, so we want to try to get some of those over there. And I know I spoke to you and one of those broke, so if you want to slide another one in there, I'll fight for you to get it.
I could.
Right. Alderman Donlin and then Alderwoman DeSenso.
Yeah,
and then
thank you, Chair.
Alderwoman-
First of all, Chief, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Good to see you. Good to see you as chief and or soon to be. Let's hope, and appreciate all you've done for the department. You addressed my questions that dealt with the staffing levels. I appreciate that concern. Just a couple of clarifications on an unrelated matter. You mentioned that we're going to hire a school outreach officer. Will we be sharing that cost of that officer with the school district, or?
We have not approached the district about that whatsoever at this point.
A lot of money.
'Cause I know on the I'm going to mess up the names, but the resource officers, we do share the cost with those. Is that
That's correct. School resource officers, the district picks up 75% of their salary.
That hasn't changed,
Again, that's
okay.
just not a conversation that we've had with the district, but willing to do
I
that.
understand. Well, I encourage it. And then with the NIBR system, we've heard in the past when Springfield, they come out with the crime stats and Springfield ranks, this way or that way on this list. And one of the explanations over the years has been that it's the way we report our crimes and the way we are. Will this help, I'll say, average that out and make things look, let's just say, more accurate?
Well, to use the term again, it puts all police departments on an equal playing field. And I'll give you just a real quick example.
Please.
We received a call from an unnamed police department, and they said, hey, are you guys reporting all of these aggravated assaults? Because NIBR says you have to do this. And we said, we've been doing that before we got to NIBR's, and so our numbers don't change. Well, this agency is going to see a drastic increase in their aggravated assaults reporting because they chose not to follow the state rules, to do it their own way. And now, again, we're all in this equal playing field having to report it the exact same way.
I appreciate that. Thank you for the clarification. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Alderwoman.
Thank you, Chief, congratulations.
Thank you.
Two things, well, three really. I'm a big fan of the Neighborhood Police Officer Program. We are down 3 officers. One of those, I have 3, Ward 6 has 3 NPOs, so that does impact Ward 6 a little bit, not as much as it impacts some other wards. Another thing, you know, we call it a homeless outreach team, but it's really one person, and sometimes two. But I know, at least speaking for Ward 6, we need a team. It's a busy area. We have a lot of businesses that are talking about moving because there's just, I mean, there's people living in their side yards. You know, I brought up recently, they're yelling during business meetings. It's just not conducive. And I know you don't have the staff to deal with this, so we need to make sure that you do.
I appreciate that. And I think that is, you know, the one point of this community care coordinator, this civilian sort of outreach person that understands the process of social services and how to go about making this long-term, making it a long-term project to get these individuals, you know, on the path that they need versus a law enforcement officer coming to try and navigate that. So, I agree that homelessness is something that we need to be focused on. And I see it just as much as everyone else does, and I think it's important that we do get our homeless outreach team member some additional resources moving forward, for sure.
Thank you. Then my last item is communication. So in the past few weeks, I've had a suicide. I've had an overdose. I've had a domestic violence situation. And when neighbors see a lot of police cars and an ambulance or a fire truck, those calls come directly to me. And now I'm going to be calling you directly. If we had some sort of system where we could just put out, you know, hey, everyone's okay. I mean, or the neighborhood's okay. There is not someone on the loose. There isn't someone that we are pursuing. This is a personal situation, because that's what it is. And what residents, you know, if they see this in their neighborhood, they automatically think that a crime has been committed and that they might be in danger. And I'm having to navigate that more and more. And I realize, you know, I'm not going to give out information of a personal situation. That's not my place. But if the Springfield Police Department could somehow put the neighbors at ease, put the neighborhood at ease, that would be extremely helpful. Just so they know that they're not in danger, because that's what the concern is.
Well, and if there's one thing that I heard tonight, it was how well the fire department does their social media, you know, as far as, and, you know, if there's something that I think that we can do better, to me, that's it right there, is our putting
You don't need to tag us on every call you go on. Don't tag us on every phone.
That's what they
At
do.
least
Remember, that'd be 100,000 calls that we go on,
Yes.
so.
We don't want that. But, you know, I understand the concern, and I understand where there's, you know, a big police presence in a neighborhood at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night. People automatically think a crime has been committed, a house has been broken into, someone's been shot, when that's not what has happened at all. So we really need to come up with some mechanism to put the neighborhood and the neighbors' minds at ease.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, the men and women that are out there responding to the calls for service, we as police officers probably think different because that's just our job. We're used to seeing bright, shiny lights and whatnot, and so I think you bring up a valuable point. And obviously, we have to weigh what information we can give versus not and all that stuff, and I'm sure we can work together on some sort of process, for sure.
I would appreciate it.
In the meantime, you text me or call me, and
I will.
for sure.
Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you. And again, yes, thank you. Wonderful job with this presentation. I'm assuming you probably weren't at the beginning of it, but you've had a hand, and I appreciate this kind of steady transfer of leadership in our police department, because, again, I mean, you talk about core services this city is expected to provide. Police and fire are right at the top of that. So very important, and it's good to see you. I have a couple of questions. I do, first of all, want to say I am one of the wards that doesn't have a neighborhood officer, but I do want to call out one of your officers who's been doing a really fabulous job, Officer Holdman. Mm-hmm. She's been excellent. She's responsive. She fills me in when we've got ongoing issues and concerns, and she's been doing a great job, especially working with neighbors who are just kind of dealing with some chronic situations that are not fun. So do want to give her a public shout out. That said, my questions are more focused on equipment issues. 2 years ago at budget season, I came in with complaints and concerns that I'd heard about police officers getting exhaust fumes in their cars. Last budget, I was told, yay, it's all solved. We've got 30 cars. I'd like to know how many of those cars are currently in operation, the new cars.
We don't have any of the 30 cars, and we're at the liberty of Ford Manufacturing Company as far as whether it's the chip, whether it's the hybrid, whatever the case may be, we are waiting. I will say this, the mayor and I had a conversation last week, and we were able to locate 9 additional cars that are gas operated, but they're immediately available, and the mayor gave me the go-ahead to go ahead and purchase those. So we are in the process of that. You'll probably see an ordinance on first read maybe tomorrow for that. So I'm hopeful that we can get those 10 much quicker than the 30. The 30 that we're waiting on, I believe they said May or June that the dealership will take possession, and they still have to outfit them and all that. So as far as the carbon monoxide concern and or exhaust, obviously there's a difference between carbon monoxide and exhaust, but our garage has installed carbon monoxide detectors in all of our fleet vehicles. Every time they do an inspection, a preventative maintenance inspection, they now test for exhaust and or carbon monoxide. So
That's good to hear.
yes.
I do appreciate it, because I have heard there are still some complaints about that. So, I mean, obviously that's a concern. Your job is dangerous enough without making your equipment adding to the danger of the day. I would encourage you to also, I mean, I know we say Ford, we're waiting on Ford. There are a couple of other car manufacturers out there. So, you know, do you look at other car manufacturers to look for, we don't have to be all Ford, right? Do we get a discount for that?
I would, for continuity of operations as it pertains to the OBM garage, I believe they like to work on all of one specific type of vehicle, and I could probably defer to Director McCarty if he had anything else to say on that, but that's kind of.
Yeah, Chief, you're right. It's actually a fleet best practice to try and standardize your fleet to one particular, because then you train your techs. They become much more efficient, much more aware of the vehicle. They can get them fixed quicker, and they can get them fixed more reliably. And quite honestly, all the car manufacturers are having backups on inventory anyway, so it really wouldn't make much of a difference. One thing I will add is, though, to your point, Alderwoman Connolly, about concern over those vehicles, once we get the 30, along with the 10 we're buying, then all of those Crown Victorias will be out of the fleet.
That's good to know, because those, I'll tell you what, I say a special prayer every time I see an officer drive by me in one of those. They look like they look older, we'll just leave it at that. So, and then also, I'm looking at your equipment line and clothing and supplies, including protective wear. I know that you've got money in there for these new hires. Are we also ensuring that our existing officers have all the new supplies, you know, regular uniforms, protective wear, updated protective wear, is that all included in here?
Yeah, so there's money in there for routine maintenance and replacement of equipment and whatnot. As far as protective wear, when you talk about bulletproof vests, that's something that we're on a 5-year replacement cycle. So every year, officers are getting vests. You know, we stagger the 5 years. So vests are only good for 5 years, so we replace them every 5 years.
And we are on a cycle to replace those absolutely every 5 years?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Yes.
no one's wearing a 6-year-old vest right now?
To my knowledge, no.
That is really good to hear. I'll leave my other questions. The drone is interesting. I would like to know a little more about how that's going to be used, in what situations it's going to be used, and what kind of training you're going to be doing for officers who will be operating that equipment. I know I've gotten complaints from people when, you know, kid drones come flying over their backyards. So there is a certain level of, I don't want that in over my house. So as long as we know and we can relay this information about when they'll be used, how they'll be used, and how much training has gone into the operators who will be using them, I'd like to have that kind of background.
I agree 100%. And there's actually, the law mandates training and certificates and all sorts of things as far as a drone program. So Deputy Chief Dodd has been researching that, and when the program is put together, we'll obviously share it with each one of you. We'll also have department policy on when it could be used, who gets to fly it, all things like that will be covered.
Sure. I just wanted to be clear, because when I saw that in your budget, and I I already get complaints about drones, so rather not have.
Fire
them about
department
yours.
drones, what I hear.
Well, again, they're all out of the room, right? You can say that. But listen, I really appreciate that we're looking at hiring levels that is going to increase you up to where you want to be. Where are you looking at retirements? And, I mean, how many, do you have expected retirements in the next year or two? Do you have numbers on that?
Well, so I've forecasted out for 3 years. Over the next 3 years, we have 51 people that will be eligible for retirement. It doesn't mean that they're all going to go. Obviously, that'll be up to them. But we're at the tail end of this Clinton crime bill hiring from 25 plus years ago. And we're going to see a massive amount of turnover, and it's got to be our job to forecast who's leaving and be hire ahead of time, as it takes 10 months to get them to be certified. So we just have to be prepared for that.
I'd like to see that, and it's certainly a plan that tracks along with that so that we don't get quite as low a numbers as we have right now. One of the other concerns that's come up is retention. And I mean, you've heard Chief Winslow talk about it all the time. We lose officers to maybe quieter neighborhoods or the state. Do you have a plan, or are you working on a plan to possibly provide incentives to our existing officers to help keep them here? Have you thought about anything like that?
Yeah, I have, and the staff and I have discussed that, and we're currently putting some things together. I think it's important that we realize there's more to retention than a financial component. I know that that's important, but it also boils down to that intrinsic motivation that each one of us has deep within our soul that says, when I get up, this is the job that I'm going to do because I'm valued and appreciated and supported. And I think the first step in retention is showing our men and women on this agency that they are valued and supported, and we have their back when they're out there doing their job, and they do it professionally. And that is my goal, number one, is to get that message across to our officers. And I think that moving forward, I'm hopeful that will help with retention if our officers know that that their staff, their council, their city has their backs. I think that's very important. Of course, there's other financial components. The mayor and I have also talked about some other sort of incentives that may not be financially related, but also some ideas. So I think it's worth putting together, like you said, a plan, some ideas. Again, I don't have all the answers. I'd certainly take any other suggestions that anyone has, but it's important now more than ever that we retain the good employees that we have.
Absolutely.
And again, there's some things that I just are out of our control, as far as officers wanting to move states because they think it's easier, or whatever the case may be, or the laws aren't necessarily aimed at law enforcement, if that makes sense. I know that some of our officers are feeling that right now. So again, I think it's important that we just show them that we value and appreciate them, and that will be our first step.
So, and then along the lines of that, how long do you think it will take to do this review of the 12-hour shifts? And are you going to be, what sort of parameters are you going to be looking at with that? I mean, I'll be honest, that sounds like a long day for someone who, has a wide range of situations they're responding to. So do you have a timeline for, you said once you get this new class in, but do you have a timeline for that and what kind of things you're going to be looking at? Or do you want to just come back later?
Yeah, I can certainly come back. I think, we're at this 12-hour shift because of the sort of crisis situation that we're in.
Right.
And we've got to dig ourselves out of that hole. And that's you heard from the fire department, it's the same here. The minute I hire someone, it takes 10 to 11 months before they're any good. And then if I lose 2 people to retirement while that one person was getting trained, then I'm negative an officer. So it's a huge balancing act, and we've just got to be proactive at hiring, at over-hiring, at forecasting out. And I think the minute that we get to an optimal staffing level to where we can say we can go away from this 12-hour shift if that's what we think is best, then we're committed to doing that. We just have to get to that point.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that's one of the first things that you brought up in your presentation. So thank you for that. And then just finally, as we're doing hiring, and obviously we're looking at diversity, but also it's not just, I'm just going to say it. I've looked at other police departments across the country. There are other police departments that are doing things like, allowing for more tattoos. People have different hairstyles. things like that. Are those factors that you're taking into consideration as part of your diversity?
We have discussed that amongst the staff. I mean, we have to be progressive. We have to be professional, let's be honest,
Yeah,
but we have to be
absolutely.
progressive with the ideals of society as they sort of evolve and change. And I'm no stranger to the fact that our men and women like to have tattoos, and certainly something that we will discuss amongst the senior leadership team, and I'll bring that to discuss with the mayor as well. Our officers are currently have the ability to wear beards, for a 6-month period. I know that was a big hit amongst them. So as long as we're still able to do our job and they look professional, that's certainly something that we could proceed discussing for.
I appreciate it, because I will tell you, I mean, I guess I get to be old enough to say this. I mean, these young kids, these 20s and 30s, and they are wearing more beards, and there are more, I mean, it's when I was younger, tattoos were much more rare, but now tattoos and piercings and beards and, and different hairstyles are becoming much more normalized, and I just know it's easier for a lot of people to relate to someone if they feel like they get me, I mean, I'm not going to say you have to hire a curly-haired police officer, but, when you understand where someone's coming from, a lot of that can be in just how you present. I see you over there, both of them laughing at me.
You jumped the shark.
Alderwoman, do you have any other budget questions?
I am done. I just think
Oh, my God.
You finish your 6 pages there, or?
Hey, I don't have any amendments right now,
Mayor-
so.
Mayor?
Yeah, I think the Alderwoman brought up, the last point was a interesting point. It's been something that's been discussed with tattoos, and you don't have to answer it, but I think Corporation Counsel, that's something I would think is freedom of speech. And so I think they would cover it up, a tattoo, but what if it's a tattoo of Blue Lives Matter or Blue Line or whatever they want, and what's that do, So that's really a slippery slope of sorts, because we've heard about it from just decals on police cars. But one thing I will say is the police department is a model department within the city of Springfield with diversity. The outreach efforts, I wish the fire department would live up to those standards. I mean, the fire department diversification is deplorable. I mean, it's 5%, and it's been that way for I don't know how many decades, and they have to change. I mean, so we appreciate the comments, because it is a changing society. All departments need to live up to that standard of a changing society. How do we adapt post-pandemic? So we appreciate those comments.
Is there any time
With
left?
that, I'm sorry?
Is there any time left?
Yeah, we're here all night, Chuck. We're here all night. If you got 6 pages you want to give?
Only 5.
Okay. I'm kidding, Aaron.
Congratulations, Kenny.
Thank
I
you,
won't
sir.
tell everybody here what you did in Hawaii, but
Thank
it'll
you,
be
I
all
appreciate
good.
that.
The MPO explanation that you gave was good, because I'm not an MPO fan. I think that's 10 officers we could use somewhere else, and every police officer should be an MPO. They should, when they have a beat, they go take care of their beat. They handle all the situations. So that was a good analysis from you. I want to, you had an opening from was it an ops commander that you were short?
Yes, we are.
And are we going to replace that person?
Andy, would you like to have that person?
I very much appreciate that.
I know, because that's a critical area. The commanders do a lot, no offense, chiefs, but the commanders really work their tails off. They do a pretty good job.
If there's one thing that's important, it's having a complete senior leadership team that we can all work together to solve the issues of this agency. I think it's just, it's the balance of when's the right time to do that. And the mayor and I have discussed that, have discussions going forward on senior leadership team.
And again, the professional look and the way our officers are really makes them, they look like professionals. And you want to have that commanding image when you go out to certain situations. So I commend you for that. Another thing I want to commend you for is being the way you guys adjusted your schedule to go to 12-hour shifts when the city was in trouble and the citizens needed. You saved us a ton of money, because other departments did not do that. And you guys made adjustments and made it work. And I know 12-hour shifts are tough, but we've all worked them, so we understand how hard those are. So
Thank you.
the car situation, I think they hit on that pretty well, because the fire department, I know, needs more equipment. You guys need more cars. And of course, Director McCarty's analysis of that, we're going to pick up the first 10, and then we're going to get 30 more plus after that?
That's correct.
So, anyway, but congratulations, you got a great command staff, you got a great police department. Very proud of all of them. They do a great job, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
See you tomorrow night. I like Groundhog Day or something. No, it's Thursday or Wednesday, isn't it?
Go get some sleep.